If you want to get out from, like if you want to break through, if you want to go from this level to that level, you can't be like, okay, I'm just gonna dip my toes in the water. I'm just gonna try it. I'm just gonna see it. I'm just gonna play around. I'm just gonna do. That's typical. That's average, man.
What's the journey, man? What's the journey? How can you replicate it? How can you apply some of those principles and ideas?
The number one thing that I can sincerely say that absolutely changed everything, I worked on myself first, period.
So here's the formula. Learn something new, and then do it and implement it.
Against all odds, right? Against, everything, they persevered.
I didn't have to be that smart guy that's gonna go out and create all this tech stuff.
I had found all of these other hidden loopholes within the eBay system, like alternative ways to make money on eBay.
And they did it in this industry. They did it in online marketing. Hey, welcome to The Journey. Vic Strizius here with you. And of course, if you're just tuning in for the first time, I'm the founder of 4% and very happy that you can join us right now for this particular episode of The Journey. If you have not watched any of the other previous episodes that we have done, I suggest you get your hands on them because we've got some really, really cool things that we have discussed in previous episodes. And so this one, I'm very excited to have an auto webinar expert, auto webinar funnels expert here.
Yep.
Steve with me. Steve, welcome to the show.
What's up? Welcome.
All right, and so in this particular episode, we're going to be talking about some things that every entrepreneur needs to master and understand, right? Mm-hmm. Which is how to stand out, how to do all that stuff. And so, again, if you have never watched the Journey episodes, what is this all about, right? Well, it's about ideas. It's about, when you see somebody who's successful right now, like Steve, right? When you have somebody who is making moves and doing big things in the industry, it doesn't matter what industry, right? Chances are that person has not been like that all the time.
True.
Right? So we all have our beginnings. We all start out from the same place, which is nothing. But how does somebody go from beginning, zero, right? No money, struggles, and then something happens to where they become a top producer, they become an expert, they become somebody who is now doing big things in the world. So that's what the journey is all about, and we deliberately don't have any preset questions here. We did not discuss anything prior to going live here, and this what makes the journey unique, and special because we have no idea where the conversation is going to go. But one thing is for sure is you will get a lot of value from it, and my goal as a host of the journey is I try to pull as many nuggets from you, Steve, right, as possible. And I'm the advocate of the aspiring entrepreneur. So somebody who's maybe running into a brick wall, maybe somebody who wants to get to the next level, whether your next level is 10,000, a month or 10,000 a day or 10,000 an hour. There is a way for you to get there. And so, man, with that being said, let's go ahead and dive into this.
Cool.
Right. So who is Steve Hofstetter? What do you got going on right now, brother? I know you're here at the 4% back, 4% offices here. Let me just kind of set the stage. We flew you out here to do some work with us,
yep.
right, with the 4%.
Yep.
And the reason because, you are an auto webinar funnels expert, one of the top in the world, from as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
And that's why you're here. So we're doing some work and having the opportunity, having you here.
For sure.
I said, you know what, let's do the journey and get to know you, right?
Oh, yeah.
So what do you got going on? What's your story?
Yeah, so it's been a 9-year journey. So from when I originally started getting into the internet marketing world and then venturing off on my own, it's been a bunch of ups and downs. So I originally, and this is outside of the entrepreneurship stuff, but I originally started high school. I'm 35 now, by the way, so you kind of put a timeline too. But back in high school, I was always interested in web design and coding, and that's kind of where I got my start of the internet and creativity stuff. I love drawing, and I think a lot of the creativity from building funnels and marketing and everything online is super creative and coming up with the messages like that. And that's kind of where it all stemmed from, is back in the day just creating things, being artistic and all that good stuff. So I went from high school working at a semiconductor manufacturing plant with memory chips and wafers.
Yeah.
So we were loading them up, punching the numbers in and letting it run and taking them out. So that's what I did for 2.5 years. My first experience in the workforce, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
And so after that, so that was great. And then that was I was 22 when I stopped doing that. And what happened was, so that at that point, I also got married and found out we're having our first child. He's almost 12 now, which is crazy. But so I ended up leaving that job, and my wife and I living in, it was probably 2-bedroom, 1-bath apartment at the time, and literally paycheck to paycheck, and like the normal 22-year-old guy who gets married, whatever, you know. So I was like, hey, I got to figure something out. And the whole, you know, $9 an hour back in the day, and no insurance wasn't cutting it because now I have a kid, we're married. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna go test my hand at sales. And so one of my really good friends ran, they had about 5 cell phone locations at the malls and the kiosks. So you know the guys that go, hey, what kind of phone you got? What kind of phone you got?
You were doing that.
That's what I was doing, yes. And I eventually, so after about a year of that, because I always came across very personable and kind of related to, older adults that, I didn't come across as like some kid back in the day. So I did pretty well with that. And I ended up running all of the stores for about another 1.5 years. And so that was my first experience in sales and getting used to interacting with people and, basically selling anything is telling a story and coming to that conclusion of what the next step is and relating with them. So
at this time, you're how old? You're like 20, 22, 23, 24?
4.
Ish.
Yeah, 23, 24.
Okay.
Yep.
So were you just natural at this stuff, or did you learn some sales skills? I mean, how did it, because sales is obviously a big part of any business,
Anything,
right?
yes.
If you don't have sales, you don't have business.
Yes, if you can sell, you can, yeah.
So sales is something that a lot of people are struggling with, whether it's online or webinars or just face-to-face or on the phone, doesn't matter. Were you natural at this stuff, or did you learn it? Is it a skill that you acquired?
I was good at being personable and relating to people.
Yeah.
And then the sales part of actually coming and asking for the sale, that kind of evolved over the years of getting used to, training with people that were better than me, managers and different people, and feeding off of the other top salespeople and taking pieces and soaking it in and making it my own. And that's kind of how you craft your sales experience. And so that sales experience, I think, was in having to hustle, working commission only, what to pay the bills and feed my family at the time. That was literally probably the best experience. Now, looking back, being an entrepreneur, online marketing, having that sales experience literally took me to where I'm at today. You
know what I noticed, man, is people that are good at a particular thing, right?
Oh yeah.
They tend to just, your example, right? You're like, well, I was good at sales, and you were doing great, right? You were doing great selling that kind of stuff.
For that, yes, 100%, totally. Top.
Right. So would you say that you were like in the top, 10%?
I was number one of our little company, and then I was back then being 23 years old. My first sales job after 2 years, we were doing probably like 80, 90 a year, which is, I think, really good for that age.
80,000 or 90,000 a year?
In commission only.
In commission.
So I figured it out pretty quick.
So here's the situation, right?
Okay.
And this is where it's interesting to me, because I try to dissect and dig into go behind the curtain, under the hood, and trying to understand the way you said it is so no big deal. I was just personable with people, but it's interesting because so many people don't get this. It's one of those things that it's very easy to overlook. Right?
Oh yeah.
Can you elaborate on this? Because what it seems like is that if somebody is good at, let's say, sales, we don't necessarily have, as far as we're concerned, to us it's just like a natural thing.
Yeah.
Right? But why do so many people struggle in sales? Could you put your finger on a pulse? What was that about being personable that you think helped you? Was that just, were you smiling a lot? Were you cracking jokes? I mean, what is that?
Jokes, yes. Jokes.
Okay. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, jokes and making the person feel comfortable in that moment, and then basically making them be a friend. Make them a friend as fast as possible, not a salesperson to a customer. You want to make them feel like they are your buddy and they like to do business with you and they want to work with you. It makes the sale so much easier. You're not actually selling at that point. You are just, you dug into their problems, the solution, they like you. It makes when you ask for money or whatever you're selling, it makes it that much easier if they truly do like you and like personalities.
I think I know the answer to the question I'm about to pop for you.
Sure.
But I want to get your perspective on it. Do you think that is the same skill or the same approach that you're currently using online that helps you being successful in creating all these webinars and all these campaigns?
Yeah, it's literally, so I'll jump ahead now a little bit. I'll move to the next stage of my journey so I went from sales, and then back 7 years ago, 8 years ago, when cell phones, I'm sure you know this too if you're around in the mall, they were super hot.
Yeah.
There was a stand on every little corner, but then within about 2 or 3 year gap, literally the whole market was flooded. Everybody had phones. You weren't actually selling new phones to people. You were trying to get them to cancel their plan and go with you. So the whole thing died down. My buddies who ran all the locations, they lost all their stores, so I had to figure out what to do next. And basically, I had no job. All of a sudden, everything just stopped. We found out we were having our second child. We still lived in our apartment, even though the 80-90 only lasted, that was about that 1 year gap, and back then, not super great with money. So I literally had nothing again, just a bunch of bills and car payments. Yeah. So I was like, okay, I gotta figure out what to do. So I was sitting there right before I had my last few days at the cell phone place, surfing the internet, and I was on Craigslist, and I found a tech support software job at a software company called Infusionsoft. And I live in Chandler, Arizona, so that they're local. So anyways, I reached out, had 2 interviews, and ended up working another about $11 an hour job. So, and that's kind of where, so I don't know if they're familiar with Infusionsoft or not.
Yeah, some.
Yeah, so it's like an autoresponder software, internet marketing, CRM company.
Platform,
Automation company. But at that point, I didn't know anything about the internet marketing online world at that point. But I did have decent sales skills at that point, and I was already back from high school. I was always super interested in coding and graphics and creating. So when I started working there, it completely opened up my eyes to the whole internet marketing online world. And I worked in tech support, and what I did at the time, the company was only a software company. They didn't offer any services. There was nothing, there was barely any support. They're a 700 employee company now. I was employee 21 back in the day. So there's like 2 rooms of people. So after about 6 months working there, once I started to understand how the internet marketing process worked, where okay, a lead would come in, you start sending them emails, you educate them, and then usually pitch like a consultation call or sell your products or affiliates or whatever it is. I started understanding that big picture, and I started being like, okay, well, I'm gonna get back into my programming, coding, and stuff like that, because we get calls on tech support. They'd be like, hey, can you make this web form look pretty on my website? Or hey, can you integrate my shopping cart? Or hey, can you set this up? And the company that I worked for had 0 support when it came to services. So I went and created my own website, and it was a service list of services for the users of that software. And basically, I got all of the tech support reps to start sending all of their questions for third-party work to my website. So I would get home at 5 o'clock and have my inbox full of quote requests for work. So I did that for about a year, and literally I would just sell them, and I would figure out how to make it work, like how to fulfill. And so I would do research and hours and hours, so I was probably spending way more time than I should have for the money. But I learned crazy amounts of skills of coding and programming and how it all worked, and all the back-end stuff of people's websites and businesses online. Yeah. So that was before I still left that company. My next step was I'm working all night, all day.
So is this your first, venture into becoming an entrepreneur?
Yeah.
So essentially, you created a business within a business.
Yes. So I was working at the software company doing side work for the users of software, fulfilling a service that wasn't available yet. I was the only one doing it. So all of the software users were going to my website to start looking for help on how to do stuff outside.
Love it.
So I was working all day tech support, get home at 5, and I literally was probably working till 3, 4 in the morning every night. I did that for almost 9 months straight, and I decided to talk to my wife. I'm like, I can't do this anymore. I think I can quit my job and do this full time. I think I'm gonna do it. And I was like, she asked me, I talked to her about it, and she's like, well, if you think you can do it, I trust you, let's do it.
Go for it.
Yeah, so I did, and then it was a trip. So
yeah, what happened?
So basically, I quit, and then so the first few months were awesome because I still had all my connections at that company.
Yeah.
And this was about 7 years ago now, And so I had all these people still sending referrals, and then as the company grew, the software company grew, they started fulfilling services in-house. And so then I started losing my connections, they stopped sending work, and then I had to figure out what to do. And so for the first year or so, everything was great. And then I had a couple moments, about a year and a half on my own, where I couldn't reach new clients. I was literally running out of money, running out of workload, and I started looking for another job at some point. So I started looking, and I got to that point where, okay, I was looking, and then I even sent in a couple of my resumes to different companies, and I got one call back, I remember, and they said, come in for an interview, and I sat there after I hung up the phone, and I was thinking, do I really want to go start all over and go work for a company again? And I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to figure this thing out. And I didn't show up, and I started cranking, and I ended up figuring it out. And that was my first introduction to Facebook ads 6 years ago, because I had to get leads to sell to.
So why Facebook?
Because I was always on it, and it was at the time it was very easy to say. It's still fairly straightforward to set up if you compare it to like Google Ads.
Yep.
The whole interface, the way it structures to be able to run your first ad is so much easier. And plus now the targeting, and it was way cheaper.
Yeah.
So 6 years ago, I was getting a lead on Facebook for like 50 cents, which for a certain type of lead for B2B, that's really cheap.
Yeah.
So
I mean, still today, it's still kind of undervalued.
It's still
because not a lot of people really understand it.
Oh, today I spend almost $1,000 a day on ads on Facebook to cold traffic driving to my automated webinar.
Yeah.
And I pay a lot more. I pay like $7 a lead now.
So we'll come back to that. To the Facebook conversation, because I do want to talk about that as well, because I know there's a story behind the story.
Yes.
Right. To making it work.
For sure.
So you ventured into Facebook. What are you selling?
So I was just doing the whole ebook report.
Is it something that you wrote?
Yeah. So since I was pretty handy with graphics and content creation, and at that point I've already built a couple websites. I've done a ton of work for clients.
Yeah.
So I've built tons of different flows out and opt-in pages and back-end emails and pushing them to go to reports or video training series, or webinars still weren't super popular back then. But so I had a ton of experiences building all these things out, seeing all the back-end inner workings. I knew how it all works. I actually built it all for clients. So I started now building my own stuff out for my own business. I was driving them to a free report, and then I would drive them to a little video recording of me explaining my services and how I helped my target market of who I was speaking to. And then I would push them to a free consultation.
So the free report became your lead magnet.
Free report, lead magnet. Yep.
Right.
Uh-huh.
So you're running Facebook ads to that. Is that the only traffic source you got
at that point? I still had a few referrals coming in, but that wasn't enough. Mm-hmm. So this was my next this is where all my leads came in. I'd get them on the phone, and then I'd go back to my sales skills and figure out their pain points, their problems, and give them my solution. And they'd be like, I love it. How much is it? And then I quote them out, cut the deal, and do the work.
And you would sell your services for?
At that point, I was doing like an hourly rate, and I would try to get them on a retainer, so I had monthly recurring coming in, which it's always nice having recurring guaranteed money, so you can kind of forecast your income and your life.
Monthly recurring is nice.
Yes. So that's what I was trying to do, but then again, I was still trading my time for money.
Yeah.
So you get to a point where you can only do so much by yourself.
Right.
Plus bring on new people and manage everything.
You only got 24 hours in a day.
Yep. If you don't sleep.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Awesome. So what's next for Steve? What was your next deal?
At that point, I was still catering just to the users of that specific software and just doing work for them. And then I realized, okay, all my workload was completely different, and it was very time consuming. A lot of figuring out odds and ends and one-off things. And I was trying to figure out how can I scale this and make more money, but keep my workload of myself, or if I outsource something, keep it where it's manageable and not overload and not let the project suffer or the client suffer. So what I started doing, fast forward I'm doing this for about 2 years on my own, running ads, quoting out.
Pretty good financial?
Yeah. So and the cool thing, I look back and I'm like, every year, okay, I went my first year by myself, I did like 80K. And then I did like 95, and then 110, and then 140. So every year, yes, every year I have always increased. But the first 2 years, it was my rockiest of, I was like this, and I was like, do I keep doing this? Do I not? And once you break through that point where you have some consistency coming, and the recurring really helps do that, then you can really start pushing forward and figuring out more ways that you can keep increasing.
Dude, why do people quit? See, you were like this, but you went right?
I could have.
You went after your dream instead of working for the man.
And I think that it's all mindset at that
Were you
point.
around people who were inspiring you, pushing you,
I followed,
nurturing that?
Yeah, so I followed a few people online, and I would try to put myself in positive situations and not negative. So I thought once I was about a year or two deep on my own, I was relying on myself to do everything and not relying on anybody to give me anything. And so I had to make my own decisions of how hard I pushed and where I wanted to be. So I would associate myself with certain people that helped me get to that next level. Kind of like what the everything you've created around 4%. It goes a really long way, and it made me I had 2 moments where I was super close to where a very high percentage of people would have said, throw in the towel and let's go the easier route and get a job.
Yeah.
But then I looked ahead of that. I'm like, okay, in a year or two from now, that's gonna make it harder for me to get back to where I actually do truly want to be.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna take that step. I'm gonna push through and I'm gonna figure this thing out. And now 7 years later, I'm really glad I did.
You see, it's interesting, huh? Sometimes you can be like 3 feet from gold, and this is like where you want to quit the most.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yes. Yeah.
It sounds like you were at that spot.
So close.
Had you quit, you would not be here probably.
I'd probably work in a job, doing well at a job, but I would be at a job and working, which is fine, and there's nothing wrong with that. But if you want to make your own day-to-day life, your own schedule every day, and still provide, then you kind of have to push through if that's the way you want to go.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, love it.
Yeah.
All right, so you're making money, free report, you created it. But obviously, this is something that we teach constantly here within the 4% is how do you stand out from the competition, right? So essentially, you just created your own world.
Yeah.
You're like, hey, this is my world, I control it, I can call my shots, and I can, be as creative as I want.
Yes. Yeah.
Right? So you're doing that for a couple years. What's next?
Yeah. So I started. I started creating videos and content and all kinds of stuff, teaching people. I would just give, and this is like the one thing I'd recommend if you guys are starting to create your own authority, where you have your own following that like you and listen to you, and they basically trust you and do what you ask them, the advice you give them, they go take it. So I started creating videos, just pure educational value stuff that if they listened to it and took action, they would get some type of result. Even if it's a very small one or a little one, they get little wins here and there, and that's what creates the trust and the value in your own brand of yourself and your authority. So creating that content, you kind of just need to map out what you want to create. And as I just pay attention throughout my day of like, okay, that's something that I think everybody else would find very interesting or take a nugget from. And so I would make a quick 2 or 3 minute video on it, email it out, put it on a page, and then I'd still have my call to action to a consultation call. So I give my free value. I'm like, hey guys, and then everything I always did is very soft and personable. So I'd give my free content, and then I'd always ask the next. You always want to have a call to action.
Yeah.
You always want them to go do something to.
Why is that important?
Because they won't do it otherwise.
And what kind of call to action? Is that always call to action for sale, or is that call to action just
for me?
For conditioning?
For this stuff, back then all this stuff was super custom. So as it relates, I would always ask them to, hey, if you love to learn more about how I help people, how I help small businesses, take it to the next level or build out their sales funnel or whatever that is, let's hop on a quick call. And then it'd be my calendar link. And so that way I always have people on my calendar. I'd always be talking to people, always creating new sales pipeline and keeping it full. Always have quotes out, and eventually those quotes do come through as clients.
Yeah.
That's more like a consulting business, but it's the same thing if you're selling products or courses. It's the same thing. It's good to get to know them and then find a good fit for that person of what product or course that's going to benefit them the most and refer that out and give it to them.
I love this, man, because what you're saying right now, this is actually, if you guys are watching this and if you're inside the 4%, we do have the very same model that you're describing here. We actually have a systematic way that our members are able to plug in through the E-Stage and the whole automation and stuff that we're building out with you as well.
Yep.
to where a complete beginner can get started and they can create literally what you created without the hassles that you needed to go through, which is awesome.
Yes.
Awesome, man. So you're creating videos, you're creating content, you're pushing out. Are you doing surveys, or what's some of the biggest breakthroughs that you think?
So the biggest breakthrough was after doing this for about 2.5 years, so about 3.5 years ago or 4 years ago, webinars started to become very popular.
Yeah.
And they weren't popular just because it was a trend. They were popular because they actually worked and they got people super engaged. And when you ask them to go do something, to go book a consultation call or go buy your course or your product, the percentage of conversion of them doing that, taking that action, was so much higher than any other way. And the reason it can be, so what we do now is we only build automated webinar funnels. That's all we do. And they're all custom to each client, but that is our core offering. That's how we help our clients get quick results fast. Because webinars, so the reason webinars work so well is because when you're getting a lead to take a ton of little actionable steps and commitments before you ask for anything from them. They see an ad, they like it, they click, they see your registration page, they like what you're going to be training them on for free. Then you have time options. They have to fill in their first name, their email, and if you have it set up good, then you can get SMS and send them text reminders for the webinar. They are committing to a time, they're leaving, they're getting reminders, they're coming back for the webinar that they signed up for. So they left, they came back, they blocked out on their calendar. Now they're mentally committed to an hour-long presentation.
Yeah.
They show up and they stay because that's part of their day now. That's part of what they plan for. Instead of just watching a video, they can leave whenever they want. They don't consume the content, so they don't do what you're asking them to do. They don't take action. Which is
huge, because there's a lot of stuff happening on a psychological level as well with people. Great. So you're doing webinars, and currently, okay. So how long have you been doing that for now?
4.5 years exclusively, just mainly webinars. That's it. That's 90% of our business is webinars.
What do you guys sell?
We sell training courses, and then we also sell done for you. So most of our clients, we actually build them out custom. We work with them directly, and we build them out. And then for the other people who are decently techie or want to learn it on their own, we have literally, it's basically our done for you stuff, but packaged up into step-by-step trainings.
Yep.
So they can go do it on their own and then use us for support if they have any random questions.
Got it. So let's talk about webinars now. What can you sell through a webinar? What kind of products, or what kind of industries? What's working? I know you've been working with a plethora of different clients.
So webinars work best stuff that's priced about $1,000 or less. If you're going to sell directly from the webinar, because most of the time anything over $1,000 is going to need some type of personal communication or a phone call. So the webinars, if you want to sell either like affiliate products or your own training course or something that costs under $1,000, you could potentially, and now obviously a lot depends on how you come across on your webinar and how good you are. There is a variable there. There is an educational process. So I always suggest going webinar to a consultation call. Because then you can say, okay, well, I'm not selling you anything on this webinar. It's pure content training, because you're going to pitch them on a free consultation call, which then you create the relationship, they book a timeout, then you can sell them anything you want. And plus, if you're going to sell, so the evolution of how you get to selling through complete automation on a webinar is you need to know the sale first. You need to know how to sell it. You need to know the pain points and all the objections and how to overcome them on the phone. And you're not going to learn that by just thinking you know how to do it. You need to talk to people and understand what those are and make note of that, and then go craft your pitch for automated webinar. And then you can try selling through full automation. But you have to know the sale first. So I always suggest going webinar, free training content, establish yourself as the authority, pitch them on a free one-on-one consultation call or strategy session or breakthrough session, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Get them on the phone, learn the sale, create the relationship, and then find out what their main pain points are and sell them the solution. Whatever that is, whether it's affiliate, your own course, or services, whatever.
Yeah. By the way, speaking of this, and I know that some people watching this, they'll be like, dude, how do I get a hold of some of your stuff? We have some trainings from Steve from within the 4% members area. Even if you're a free level member in the 4%, or any level, any membership level here within the 4%, you can get exposed to Steve's content within the 4%, so you can definitely check it out. I actually highly recommend you check it out, because this topic is very, very interesting. And here is why, because we have a lot of affiliates watching this, right? So a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of business owners watching these episodes of the journey. So Let's talk about the affiliate side of things, Steve, right? So if I'm an affiliate and if I'm promoting product X or a company X, and I'm running up against my competition,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
The easiest and fastest way for me to be able to stand out from the competition is doing exactly what you did initially through the free report, and now that free report becomes your webinar.
Yes.
Right? It's
Yeah.
it's a presentation that you recorded, and it plays over and over and over again. It's
Yep.
like an employee working for you without complaining ever,
Yep.
right?
Yep. Yep.
24/7 if you wanted to. And so that becomes your, what I call a wrapper, right? So if I'm an affiliate selling any product under the sun, I can structure my business this way, and I don't have any competition. Right?
Yeah, for sure. 'Cause
You want to elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah,
Like, why is
so-
this so
So the
powerful?
webinar, it's super powerful because by the time they're done watching that presentation of the webinar, you are an authority in their eyes, and we help our clients like structure out the webinar, everything. So there is a structure to it. There's a right way to do it, and there's a wrong way that's not going to be engaging. You're going to get high drop-off rates. You want people to, you want your sticky rate, is like what I like to call it, sticky rate, to be as long as possible to get to your pitch, whatever that is. But there's a process to it. So, but what the beauty of the webinar does, it establishes you as an authority because you're teaching them something that's awesome. They're actually consuming it. You become very personal to them. They feel like they know you at that point because they're watching you present. It's not just them reading an ebook and seeing your picture on a page. You actually are, as far as they're concerned, you're interacting and engaging with them. So we like to build automated webinars, not live ones. So we did start with live stuff, but it's hard if you want to do. What happens is when you do them only live, you usually only can do maybe one every few days or 1 or 2 a week. So what happens, you get somebody that signs up on Monday for your Thursday webinar. By the time Thursday comes around, they're nowhere to be seen. They got other stuff going on, they forget about it, whatever, even if you do send them reminders. So what we build is automated webinars where it will run on the hour during normal business hours. So like from, say, 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. When they sign up, it's super dynamic. So you record it once, you perfect it, and anybody new coming to the registration page, the time looks like the next showing starts in 45 minutes or 20 minutes or whatever that is. So they're in there, they're in the mode, they love what they see, they want to go watch it, and they go, oh, it starts in 20 minutes. All right, I'm going to stick around, I'm going to watch this thing in 20 minutes. So you get them on right away while they're hot. And that's, and you don't have to do any of them. They just run. Yeah. So, and it's still, so a lot of people are like, well, it's fake, or I never say live. I don't ever say it's a live training. I always say, go watch our next presentation. Yeah. Or, because that's I think a really bad way to start, even if they don't know it's live, it's just, I don't know. It's up to everybody, each their own. But I never like to say live. I always say go watch the next presentation or go watch the next training session. Yeah. But this way, and it really is. It is your real training. It's not like it's it's the same thing you would present live anyways. But now you don't have to spend your time on these live trainings repeating yourself over and over and over and over and over again. You record a really good solid one once, you let it run, and then you have consistency in your lead gen or your sales of depending on how many people you push to the webinar. You get people that they come out as clients or leads that you can close. Yeah.
But by the way, you're watching this, and if you're new, if you have never recorded a webinar and you're like, dude, I don't think it's for me because I've never done one before. Inside 4%, we train you how to do this kind of stuff. We train you how to communicate, how to become great on camera, how to become a 4%er. Because look, you don't want to be 96%ers are failing. Right? There's a reason we call this thing the 4%, is because we're going to train you how to become the dominating figure in your space, whatever that space is. So webinars, videos, I always say this to you, I say it's not the thing of the past, it's not the thing of the future, it's the thing of the now. If somebody's not on video, if somebody's not, out there like this and being comfortable, right? Sure. Not getting sweaty and nervous and talk like 2,000 miles an hour.
I do talk fast though.
Well, you do talk fast naturally, but you know what I'm saying.
Yes,
like
yes.
Somebody turns on the camera and they become, an anchor, news anchor personality, right? That's everybody. We gotta be professional, just like you were saying, being personable. Yes. So elaborate on that a little bit. Yep. Before you do that, though, let me finish my thought. Is that this? If you're new to this kind of stuff, right? We train you inside the 4%. So, if you're not a member of the 4%, definitely check it out. If you are a member, check out some of the trainings we have on these things, because that's why I have Steve here in 4%, headquarters, because we're taking our stuff and we're up in our game as well. And then we're teaching our members exactly what we're doing that works, so that they can go out there and they can, up their game as well. Talk about the relationship or the correlation or the similarities of being personable in person and being personable on a webinar.
Yeah, so it's almost the same. The more you can get yourself being personable and relatable and likable on your webinar presentation, or any video for that matter, online, the more people are going to connect with you and the more going to want to be around you. And so when you go to present an offer or something to them, the more likely, the higher percentage are going to convert to take that offer if they like you. If they don't like you, I mean, yeah, if you're still the authority but they don't like you, they're probably not going to want to watch many more of your videos. So you got to become personable, and you need to try to speak to the people you also want to attract as well. So not just to everybody, like you probably have somebody you like working with, so speak to that person and exclude
What
the
would
other
be
ones.
some of the things that I could do on video that would make people not like me?
Not like you?
Yeah.
Well, I guess sitting and being like an anchor, that's not very personable.
What else?
Talking bad about certain people or talking trash.
Talking trash about certain.
Yeah, no one likes, and well, some people do like that, but that's not the people you want to attract. So you want to repel those people. So just be yourself and you'll attract the people that actually like you, just like your friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Be the person that you want to hang out with.
Yeah.
I guess is the easiest way to put it. Eh?
Yeah, just be yourself, honestly. Obviously take in like the marketing perspectives on when you go to make a video or a training or something, because you want to have those elements still in there, but for the most part, 89% of it should be like be yourself and relate.
One of the things that we're doing here as well with we have this huge giant marketplace, like tons and tons of different products that are like highest quality for different niches, right? So what we do is for people that want to have their own business going, right? If you want to build your own empire online, but you're not quite there yet emotionally, maybe, right? Maybe you're not. You feel like you want to learn some things. Maybe you're kind of like this, but you still want to go out there and progress. So we do have products that we hand select with different vendors, and then we create automated auto webinars.
Automated webinars. Yeah.
Automated webinars, and then we teach you how to host it so that you can position yourself as a position of authority, right? Personal power. And then you just basically do your introduction, 30 seconds to 2 minutes, and then you pass it on to the presenter, and everything is recorded. So immediately it positions you as an authority figure, exactly what, Steve, what you're talking about here, a complete beginner can do and generate income. And you can have multiple of these things running at the same time, having multiple streams of income come into your business, building yourself an empire. If that sounds like a cool idea, definitely check out what we've got going on at 4%. Sure. Awesome, brother. So I want to talk about this. There's got to be some mistakes that you have made, right? You want to elaborate on some of the, give me like your top 3 biggest mistakes that you can go back, you're like, dude, if I did not do that, or if I could go back to change this one thing or these 3 things, these are the 3 things I would change. What were some of the biggest mistakes?
It's hard to pinpoint. I think everybody's different, but my own personal thing was not taking action fast enough at certain points over the years where I can see where there's a certain spot where if I educated myself faster or learned it faster and understood like the big picture of it faster, I could have got to where I am a little quicker. And it's always, I mean, the progression and the process is always the best part, always. But I would say probably with Facebook, I was afraid to spend money on ads because I never saw it back instantly until recently. So I don't want to spend more like $10 a day or $20 a day on ads.
Not invested enough.
Yes, I wasn't mentally, I had the money, but I never could mentally get myself to invest in, because that's an investment in your business, because you have to get in front of people. And some people have a big audience already they can use and leverage, but for the majority of people just starting out, you have to be able to get in front of people, or no matter what you do, no matter how awesome of a back-end system you have or whatever, you're never going to get any kind of result ever. So you have to be willing to get in front of those people. So my thing was, I wish I committed and figured out and mentally got myself to spend more quicker on the front end, because that would have opened up more people to see me and learn what I do, which in return would have brought more people in as more clients. And I guarantee I would have. Yeah.
Well, if you're a farmer, you want to sow more seeds to get more crops.
It's
right?
the same thing. Yeah. But it's like, it was like probably a mental thing. So I had the data there, I had the numbers. I couldn't because I always like, well, I'd rather spend the money on something like this that's fun or something.
Were you self-taught or did you have mentors?
Majority all self-taught, and that's just who I am.
Just
But
get down.
I get in. I get
roll up
down
your
and
sleeves, get
dirty,
dirty,
and
yeah.
figure it out, and then I know it, and then I just like I do. Man, I've literally anything techie I can do. I self-taught, HTML, CSS, PHP, JavaScript on that front, and then I do graphics really well. I do some video stuff. I edit videos, record, sales,
Love
marketing,
it, man. Love
ads,
it.
everything.
Well, and you keep so humble, man. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Like this guy? That's cool, huh? By the way, let us know in the comments. There's comments area here where you're watching, wherever you're watching this. Let us know what you think about this. Let us know let me know if you're picking up some of the ideas, because if you read between the lines to what's going on over here, my friend, it's not just golden nuggets here. There's golden bars being handed out, left and right. I always say one idea can make you a millionaire. I think there has been more than one idea worth $1 million here that we discussed. What was your second biggest mistake?
Second biggest mistake, man.
Told you we didn't plan these.
I know, right? Off the top. I would probably say, man, that's a
Would you say it's like in the categories like marketing, or is that more?
I think a lot of it's personal
stuff.
Like the business stuff always just kind of, as long as I kept pushing and educating myself more, I kept coming up with new ideas. So another big one is act fast, I would say. And I know that kind of relates to what I just said, but act fast in a way that when you have an idea or you want to go make a video or make an ebook or whatever, just go do it like as fast as possible and get it out there. Otherwise you'll sit on it, and before you know it, it's a month, then 3 months, then 4 months down the road, and you're looking back like, man, what did I do? Nothing's changed in the last 4 months. Well, you didn't probably take action fast enough.
Pay attention to those hundreds and then act on the ideas. Huh?
Fast, yeah. The faster you can get stuff created and out there, the faster you can get to the next thing and the next thing, and then it starts building, compounding on itself.
Yeah.
So fast action. And the third thing I would say would be more of a personal thing would be I liked toys too much. So I would spend, I'd buy a new car, or we'd go upgrade our house. I've learned now to where it's good to upgrade and this is all personal stuff too, everybody's different, but I've learned now to not continue upgrading my lifestyle to where it didn't make sense for the income, just because as you start making more money, you think you have to keep moving up and spending more money. When in reality, get the things you love and you like, but take budget out a chunk of that money and you need to put it back in, instead of spending all of it and keeping a little chunk, and your business will only grow very small and very, very not as quick. But if you still live a great life, but you take a bigger chunk of that money and put it back into your business, whether that's ads or having somebody do videos or whatever that is that you're not the best at, I would say you will get there a lot quicker if you mentally can put some of that money back in.
Feed the goose that lays the golden eggs and make him really, really comfortable.
That's set me back. I mean, if you have to be willing to spend some money, you have to, and you have to just, it's all mental though.
Live off of those golden eggs, but then feed the goose every day, right?
Yeah.
Don't starve your goose, I guess is the story there. What were some of the biggest breakthroughs, Steve, that you as you think back, you're like, dude, I can attribute my success to that one thing or that one thing, or on your journey, what were some of the biggest things that the glaring breakthroughs that you can identify?
The one massive one was 2 years ago, to where I went from doing 90, 120, 140 a year, being solo entrepreneur, and outsourcing a little bit of work, but I was doing 99% of the workload. The one thing that 2 years ago that completely broke through, where the next year we did almost 450,000, and now we're on track for $1 million this year, was creating systems and having that system in place to where I could pump traffic through, and I knew exactly how many sales, how many leads, and I could predict and scale up. And the system in place for the fulfillment, for the front end sales, for everything is super systematic now. And I know exactly, if I spend X amount of money on ads, as long as my ad cost is about the same, my lead cost per lead, I know exactly how much money I'm gonna make at the end. And then it's just figuring out to make sure you scale up, level out, scale up, level out. So
And at the same time, you're removing yourself from the equation, therefore freeing up more of your time
Yes.
to do the things that you really want to do.
Huge. Yeah, because I was doing sales, fulfillment, everything.
Yeah.
And trying to figure out how to get more leads and run the business.
Yeah.
So now we have a sales team. We have, I pay a lot of money to support for the actual fulfillment because I want our clients to work with the best only.
Yep.
And now I have the time to continue creating more content and more webinars and optimizing everything and managing all of it and continue scaling up, leveling out. So,
We're huge on systems here with the 4%. We have a saying here that says, systems work, people fail.
Yeah.
It's just like McDonald's. McDonald's is in the business of systems.
Yeah, for sure.
They're not in business of flipping burgers or burger sales. Love it, man. Was there anything else any other breakthroughs that you could think of that would be like glaring thing, obvious, like, wow, this was what took me to the next level?
I would say probably the biggest thing is breaking, if you're just starting out, is probably breaking through the shell of, because nowadays, like he said earlier, you needed to be doing videos and put yourself out there a little bit. So breaking through that shell of putting yourself out there a little bit, and I'm not saying get super personal, but put yourself out there and teach people what you love and what you know the best so you can attract those people. And then as you do that more and more, this kind of stuff like what we're doing right now, it is just fun. So that's probably the main thing, is just put yourself out there a little bit.
Well, it is what it is. I mean, look, think of Apple, right? Apple, like one of the most successful companies in the world, but initially, what do people buy? People didn't buy computers, they bought Steve Jobs.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? So he was the guy that connected with the crowd, that was out there. People really resonated with him, they loved him and how he presented his products. He was the connector, right? You can have the best product if people don't connect with you, the face of your company or the face of your enterprise, it's going to be pretty uphill battle.
For sure.
So putting yourself out there, so essentially it would look something like this, right? You put out value, right? You have fun doing it. You be personable with people. Then you take people, attract people, put them through your systems, and let the system do the work and sell and make money.
That is exactly what I was about to say if you didn't say it. So that's exactly it. Yeah, and then when your system is running, then you can continue to make more cool videos and trainings and put yourself out there a little bit more and come up with new content. Keep pushing people through your system and then extending out your back-end system, everything. And
as you have your system making money for you, your confidence goes up, right?
Big time.
Your self-esteem grows, and then you become more attractive, which is what everybody wants to be. And it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? Just like people without a system, they may have a little hit or miss here, doing presentations by themselves, but if they did something that didn't work, their self-confidence kind of lowers a little bit. For sure. And so then that next call or that next presentation is going to reflect that attitude. So that's why having a system that works is really, really important for your business. Huge, huge idea, huge golden bar for you, my friend, okay? Take it right there. You're welcome, okay? I'll send you an invoice later. Let's see, what else? What kind of questions do you have for Steve? By the way, we have him in the 4%. We're doing some really cool stuff within the 4%.
Group too, so tag me if you have a specific question.
In the Facebook group, you can create yourself an account here with us if you're not a member yet. Tell me why, what attracted you to the 4%, speaking of this?
Well, I mean, the biggest thing was seeing like the family that you've created here is really cool and it's kind of rare, honestly. Like everybody's just so like super positive and
we've got some of the coolest people here.
Yes, I do think so, which is awesome. So and then along with meeting you, and then the opportunity to help you take your stuff to the next level. So the stuff that we're gonna be building out, really exciting. I'm really pumped to see like how everything shifts and change and the numbers and all that good stuff. So it's fun.
What would you say to the aspiring entrepreneur that's watching this? Maybe they tried 23 different things in the past that didn't work, right? And they're like, dude, this thing looks really interesting. Maybe I will give one more shot, right? What would you say to somebody who really wants to get to that next level, but they haven't gotten there yet? What would be your number one advice to that person?
I would say the number one thing that I would do is, you kind of have to believe and trust in the system that Vic's created as well. But you have to mentally be like wanting to push yourself through. You have to just believe in yourself is like probably the biggest thing, and have confidence in yourself, and then use the systems that are in the 4% and stuff everybody's teaching and actually put it to work. Like, you have to take action. Like, you could be as confident, you can be as personal like we talked about, and you can have awesome products to sell, you can have systems, but if you don't do anything, then nothing ever is going to happen. Like, you have to take action. I'd say probably the number one thing is just taking action, like massive, quick action, as fast as possible.
And if you don't get the results you want, take the action again.
Yeah, then try the next day. Oh man, I've built probably like 15, 20 webinars of myself, and now I have one that just kills it. So that's the one I've had that same webinar for almost a year and a half running every day on the hour. But it took me almost 6 months of trial and error and blowing a bunch of money on ads until I finally got the one that worked and converts at the highest percent. And then same with the ebooks and the processes and all that stuff. Like, there's always this journey, but if you stop, you just like continue pushing on your entrepreneurial journey. If you go back to, say you did leave your job or whatever, and you started making money, and then stuff kind of fizzled or whatever it was, if you don't continue pushing, then you're gonna go back to exactly how it was. It's the same with just funnels and all that stuff.
Yeah. Love it, man, love it. Great. So I was gonna say, you know what? Just keep on going. Tony Robbins says this best. He says, look, think of your babies. You got 3 kids, or third one on the way, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, by the time it's gonna air,
yeah, I know. Yeah, for sure.
The cat's gonna be out of the bag. So I got 6, right? So if you have kids, look at your kids. Like Tony Robbins says, how long would you give your average baby to learn how to walk, right? Mm-hmm. They try to walk, they fall down, get up again, try to walk, fall down. He's like, no wonder everybody walks, or most people walk in the world, right? Unless you have like a physical disability. Same thing in business. Most people fail when they just hit the first roadblock or the first obstacle, and they just throw in the towel. And those people, not everybody's fit or cut out to be an entrepreneur, which is fine.
Yep.
Somebody's got to do the job. Somebody's got to, somebody's got to make tables and work at a corporate. Somebody's going to make the sign that we have back there, right? Somebody's got to build houses. It's okay. But if your goal and your dream is to have something bigger, right? If your dream, my friend, right now is, you want to become an entrepreneur. You have something inside you that you think can change the world, right? Or the people that will listen to your message. It is your obligation. It is your responsibility. It is your duty, right, to make that happen, to nurture it, to grow it, to scale it, to become the best that you can possibly be at that one thing. And if we can help you as a 4%, the reason we created the 4% is to help people like you rise above the typical, rise above the normal, rise above the average, the 80-20. There's a 80-20 in the top 20, makes it the 4%. So if you want to become the most, powerful, the most influential, the most dominant figure in your business and life, and you're not a member of the 4% yet, I invite you to check us out. You can create yourself a free account if we do still offer that. Check us out, see what we got going on. If we can help you in any way, we're glad to do that. Steve, I know we're limited for time. I appreciate you.
No problem.
Yep. Obviously we got some cool things happening with you in the 4% inside the members area. And I'm looking forward to seeing you inside the members area and just really helping you, become the person that you truly wanted to be. And my challenge for you, okay, is make it happen. Don't let anybody derail you. If you failed 314 times before, go for 315th, because you never know. You might be just 3 feet from gold, and this is the time when you feel you want to quit the most, but this is the time that you need to persevere the most. I'm telling you from experience. Go ahead and watch, if you need to, any of the other, journey episodes. I think you're going to get a lot from it, because Steve, myself, everybody that you see successful, everybody has one thing in common, and that their beginnings were humbled, right? Their beginnings were small, but they persevered, and that's why we're here today. I'll see you inside. Make it happen. Be a 4%er. God bless.